Hey, First Things First listeners, before we start the show, I wanted to tell you about our brand new Fox Sports app and website, foxsports.com, reimagined for the modern sports fan. Go ahead, download the new app right now. You don't even have to pause this episode. Every day on the new app and website, you'll see the top stories in sports, plus a rich world of written content, videos, social media, and analytics to give you a 360-degree view of the most important stories of the day. Streaming live TV has never been so easy or elegant. Every Fox Sports game, including all pregame and postgame shows, as well as the televised version of this show, just a click away. For the extra invested fan, we also go deep with real-time wagering lines, trending prop bets, win probability, and key player projections. So download the new Fox Sports app or visit www.foxsports.com. Now let's start the show. First things first, Aaron Donald versus Aaron Rodgers. Who has the better first name? We preview tomorrow's matchup. Can Drew Brees continue his dominance over Tom Brady? And tomorrow, Ravens-Bills in the Condiment Classic. Happy Friday, everyone. Give me ketchup or give me mustard. Jenna Wolfe alongside Nick Wright, Brandon Marshall, Kevin Wilds. Nick, you feeling just a little bit nervous about your bet?
I'm conflicted on who to root for, to be honest, and I'll explain that later. I'm conflicted, Jenna. I think this might happen.
Appreciate the honesty, buddy. Appreciate the honesty. But this morning we got to start with some Chiefs and Browns. Remember the Chiefs? Haven't seen them in a while. All that rest, will it help? Will it hurt? Well, while the betting world is all putting their money on Kansas City, Odell Beckham Jr. is not. He's among those that think the Browns, the Cleveland Browns, can pull this out. He said, don't be surprised this weekend when they win. He's still on the team last I checked. Just throwing it out there now. All right, with that, it is time for Brandon's keys to the game. Brandon, how did the Browns upset the Chiefs on Sunday?
Oh, I like that Jets jersey. We're back in action. Got a new head coach. All right, here we go. Let's jump into it. Look, these dudes got to play lights out this week. For them to get it done, Chubb and Hunt have to combine for 200 rush yards. Last week, I talked about them going for 175 yards. Pittsburgh Steelers played it to their hands. They got it done. They didn't go for exactly 175 yards, but they did combine for 200. Your best players in these moments have to play better. Hunt and Chubb, they have to be phenomenal. They have to be lights out if they want to have an opportunity. Number 2, that boy right there throwing that ball, number 6, Baker Mayfield, 0 turnovers. Well, Brandon, why do you keep talking about Baker Mayfield when he's only protected the ball over his last 349 attempts? 1 interception almost caused a fight right here on this show between me and Nick Wright, but it's important. Baker Mayfield is one of those guys that can just get it done. He's athletic, he can play, and he has the mindset of a champion, which means sometimes when you try to do too much, you can lose the team. Continue on this streak of protecting the ball and playing lights out in those moments where your team absolutely needs you. And the last thing, oh man, this is a Myles Garrett point. You got to pressure Mahomes without blitzing. You cannot go out there and try to throw guys at him. He will chop you up. He will eat your lunch. So what you have to do is you have to get that front 4 to the quarterback. If you do that, you have a chance. So this is a Myles Garrett day. Your really good players got to play really good against this boy. Myles Garrett, go get it done so you can give your team a chance to win. Nick, you should be nervous. And I'm telling you,
Okay, not... Yeah. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Should.
Tell me what. Finish,
Listen
please.
to Odell. Well, here's the deal. I know you're a Kansas City Chiefs guy. That's your team. Okay, we all know that. But you've been standing on...
Yeah.
You've been standing on the table all year for the Cleveland Browns. It's been you and like 3 other people pounding the pavement saying this team is the real deal. Don't run away from that right now. This is a good game.
Well, I'm not running away from it. I'm running right towards it because if you remember, while I was pounding that pavement, while I was defending Baker Mayfield, while I was advocating for the Cleveland Browns, our old buddy Kevin Wilds America's favorite television rapscallion, tried to box me in. He's like, hey, Nick, I've got this stupid graphic. Teams that go 3-1 in October playing in a windstorm. 62% of them make the Super Bowl. Why won't you call the Browns a contender? And I said, I'll tell you why I won't call the Browns a contender. Because they can't beat the Chiefs. As great as I thought they were all year, as good as I thought they were all year, as impressive as I thought Baker was, especially second half of the year, they can't beat the Chiefs. Odell, I think Odell knows it. I think that's why Odell didn't include the word we. He said they. Who's he talking about? Who knows? I know Patrick Mahomes thinks he's talking about the Browns, because if you check Mahomes' favorites, you know what you see in the greatest playoff quarterback of all time's favorites, you see Odell's tweet. He's already making mental notes. You might say, oh, Nick, you're going to call Mahomes the greatest playoff quarterback of all time. Just statistically, I mean, a guy, you know, he's never lost a playoff game in regulation. Every playoff game he's ever had, he's had the lead with 45 seconds left once his defense let him down. But everybody knows it. Vegas knows it. This is the same point spread as Saints-Bears. And you know why? Because the Browns are not going to be able to stop the Chiefs. And I'm going to throw a little curveball to our production staff. Can we show my second graphic first whenever you get a chance? The Browns defense, folks, not good. Most points per game allowed against playoff teams. The Lions, they stunk. The Dolphins missed the playoffs even though we thought they might make it. The Cowboys were awful. And then there's the Browns. So I would add to Brandon's keys to the game, Cleveland has to either win the turnover battle by at least 3 or win it by 2 and score a special teams touchdown. Otherwise, Wilds, this is going to be a laugher. And it'll be a great warm-up game for the Chiefs for their playoffs that actually begin next Sunday.
Disrespectful.
No, but I think he's right, Brandon, because I think we need something weird to happen, just like something weird happened in the Steelers game. Now, luck is on their side, because I don't think there's just weird things happening in the Steelers for no reason. I think they were just rusty. And Patrick Mahomes hasn't taken a snap in 20 days. I think something weird can happen. And Nick, I know you love to say, like, we come back, we were behind every playoff game and won the Super Bowl. I'm like, I guess that's, you guys have really tricked me. You've turned that into like something to be proud of, the fact that you fell behind in every single game.
Winning the Super Bowl.
It's a magical trick they've done. Like, the ability to come back. Like, well, why are you guys always behind? Brandon, the one thing I am worried about as a Browns fan, I guess, for the next few days, and you said, it's just empty calories. Big Ben did throw for 500 yards on the squad. He threw the ball 68 times. 4 of them were to the wrong team, don't get me wrong. But Myles Garrett and the squad had 0 sacks. So the fact that he dropped back 68 times and had 0 sacks, you told me earlier this week, like, empty calorie yards. Like, is that a reason for concern?
I don't like him.
Well, no, I mean, because you got to look at the other side, right? Those 4 picks were crucial, and that's to Nick's point where it's like they have to win the turnover battle. But forget that. They don't have a chance in that secondary. I know they have Ward back off of the COVID-19 list, but when you look at this, what's the first point? You got to have Kareem Hunt, and you got to have Chubb go for at least 200 yards. Why is that important? Because you're keeping that guy on the sideline, Mahomes. Don't let that guy even come out and give him a chance to throw it for 500. So I'm trying to be smart here. Let's keep those boys on the field. We got to be okay with 3 yards here, 4 yards there. We got to be okay with running it on first, second, and third down. Punts are okay in this game, right? So that's the keys to the game. And if they do that, they'll have a chance.
Yep. And you mentioned it. They do get Denzel Ward back there in the secondary. All right, let's play a little draw in the blank now. Jaguars announced yesterday they're hiring Urban Meyer, likely pairing him with Trevor Lawrence. So, Brandon, the Urban Meyer-Trevor Lawrence pairing will be blank.
Yeah, must-see TV. The Jacksonville Jaguars and a lot of teams in the NFL need that cleaner. He's the cleaner. He's the guy that you call when you got to clean it from top down. You got to go in the janitor's office. You got to go to the general manager's office, even the ownership, and just say, let's fix all of this stuff. So this is must-see TV. I think Urban Meyer and this young man get it done.
Listen, I think this is the only way Urban Meyer can move past Nick Saban. So Nick Saban, what's he got? Half dozen championships now? to his title. They're the only guys to win them at multiple schools. Urban Meyer, if he would have gone to the University of Texas, even if he would have won a title there, still Saban is going to be ahead of him in the hierarchy. But if he can succeed where Urban failed, in the same state, no less, actually, where Saban failed, pardon me,
where
Saban coaching the Dolphins,
yeah.
I think we're talking about where is Urban Meyer on all-time greatest football coaches, college or pro.
Yeah,
so I find that to be an interesting wrinkle, Wilds.
Good point.
See, I like that take a lot. And one of the reasons why Saban flamed out is because he couldn't control the whole roster. He said it was a lot different than college, where he just has guys like, this is what we got. This is as close to a college environment as you can get. They've got the most cap space, $76 million, and they're getting the #1 pick at quarterback. So you pretty much can make your own team just like a college situation. I think he's going to do great, Jenna.
All right, we got to switch gears. Get you set for this weekend. Josh Allen and the Bills, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Bills are favorites. Nick strongly disagrees. We'll discuss. It's next. It's First Things First.
What's up, First Thing First listeners? It's your boy Shay Sharp, co-host of FS1's Undisputed. I wanted to tell you about my new podcast, Club Shay Shay, where we always do something before two something. Each week, I sit down with a guest for a drink and conversation, and as host and proprietor of Club Shay Shay, I've welcomed in esteemed guests such as Snoop Dogg, Floyd Money Mayweather, LeVar Ball, Isaiah Thomas, just to mention a few. Whether I'm talking to an athlete, a musician, an actor, or a lifelong friend, Club Shay Shay is a place where people share inspiring and motivational stories about their journeys to prominence. The new episode drops every Monday on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Subscribe to Club Shay Shay now and make sure you never miss a new episode. Now, back to First Things First.
Bills hosting the Ravens. There's a chance of snow in the forecast tomorrow night. Advantage Bills. If this turns into a defensive matchup, advantage Ravens. Then there's the quarterback matchup, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen. You see now why Nick is so conflicted. Brandon, so many ways to go here. I'll start with an easy one. Who wins the game?
Yeah, Bills. This is easy, right? I mean, it's going to be a tough game, but this is an easy pick for me. I've been talking about this team all year. I've also been talking about this is the only team that can challenge the Chiefs. Nick, you better call your boy and tell him, let B. Marshall, okay, buy me out. I got you, buddy. I know you got bank. I know you're doing great with all your picks this year and your bets, but I don't want to see this happening. Okay, I don't want to see ketchup and mustard just dripping down your face. Come on, no, let's not do that. This kid is so special. I need to read these stats, right? Because you go ahead, Nick. Go ahead.
No, I want to hear the stats because then I'll give my analysis. I want to hear the stats, please. You go.
Because I know. Hopefully, I know where you're going with your analysis because you've been talking about Josh Allen all year and how inconsistent he is. So I kind of want to debunk that. I'm gonna read these notes right now. He's 7-1 versus a top 10 scoring defense with a 112 passer rating. Okay, so this inconsistency that you're talking about, I just don't understand it. He's 6-1 versus a top 10 passing defense with a 104 passer rating. This kid is going to be the reason why they win this game. We know about Brian Daboll and how creative he is. We know about Stephon Diggs. That defense, they're good enough to slow those guys down. But I'm trying to tell you, Nick, you got to take this Josh Allen serious. Forget the mustard and the ketchup. You need to be prepared to come in here next week and apologize to Bills Mafia for all of your scrutiny and all of the things that you said this year about their team and Josh Allen.
So I understand that is on the board along with what Wilds thinks could end my television career, which is the embarrassment of getting Pinto Rond. Here's why I don't think it'll happen. I think, and I believe that Brandon, we actually might agree on a lot of these points. The Bills have a good coach. I think the Ravens have an excellent coach and certainly the more experienced coach. The Bills very well might have a good quarterback. I believe the Ravens have a better quarterback. I know the Ravens have a better defense, and most importantly, Wilds, is this. The Bills want to beat you by throwing the ball, and the Ravens have an exceptional secondary. Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey. The Ravens want to beat you by running it straight down your throat. And that is the Bills' biggest weakness. So what the Bills want to do, the Ravens are somewhat equipped to slow down. What the Ravens want to do is what the Bills struggle with the most. So you have, let's call the quarterbacks a push, just so I don't have to argue about Josh Allen. Let's call the coaches a push, even though I think Harbaugh is a tick better. The Ravens have the better defense, and to use the old cliche Wilds, styles make fights. The style, to me, certainly favors the Ravens in this game, and that's why the money is coming on the Ravens, and the point spread's gone down, and that's why I think this will be the one upset of the weekend.
I totally agree with you, and I'm personally happy because I don't think it would ruin your career, but it would certainly be the #1 Google image search if you covered in ketchup and mustard. And I'm not interested. I think it's bad, honestly, for me. I think it's bad for me, Brandon, and Jenna. It's more of a selfish thing, less a concern about your career.
It's embarrassing.
Okay, Brandon.
Yeah.
How are
we don't need
you just talked about it?
Guy.
The one chance the Browns have of beating the Chiefs, run the ball, keep Mahomes off the field. I think it's the same strategy for keeping your buddy Josh Allen off the field. Time of possession, Ryan Tannehill had the ball for 26 minutes. The Bengals, I don't even know who they started, to be totally honest. They had the ball for 19 minutes. Danny Dimes had the ball for 25 minutes. 236 yards against the Titans, 400 yards against the Bengals, 249 against the Giants. So I think if they just run, shot to Hollywood Brown, run. Hollywood Brown gets another shot. Oh, broken play, there goes Lamar. I don't think, as much as I agree with you, you've sold me on Josh Allen, I don't think he gets that many opportunities because the Ravens will just have the ball for the large majority of the game.
Yeah, I mean, Nick just rattled off, 5 or 6 things and said, I think you're going to agree with me on most of them. No, I agree with you on one. And that's to your point, Wilds, is that is their biggest weakness on that defensive side, is that front four. Those guys in that front seven, they got to do a phenomenal job of trying to slow down Lamar Jackson and that running attack. It's going to be hard. It's damn near impossible. But all they got to do is bend, but don't break. But here's the deal, though, Nick. Where's Brian Daboll from? Who hired Brian Daboll? Coach Mangini in New England, right? He's a guy that learned from Coach Mangini. He's the guy that learned from Josh McDaniels. He learned from Bill Belichick. And what do those guys do? They go into each game with a new playbook and attacking the other team's weakness. So when you talk about that offense and Josh Allen, they want to beat you throwing. No, that's the perception because that's what they're really good at. But they can also dial it up in the run game. They can also get it done there.
Yeah, but no Zach Moss hurts them in that regard. That's maybe the one big injury, Jenna, from Wild Card Weekend, the Bills losing their running back. But I agree. Daboll will have some wrinkles. There's no doubt about it, Jenna. There's no doubt.
All right, we got more to get to on this game, but right now we're going to talk about Nick's NBA medals. Hey, Steph Curry putting up 35 last night, 11 rebounds as well, but the Warriors lost to the Nuggets. Sorry, Steph, no medal today. So, Nick, who did make your bronze, silver, and gold podium?
Quick day in the medals because last night there weren't really any truly exceptional performances. We're going to give the bronze to Ben Simmons, a somewhat pedestrian triple-double, but the first game he's played since being included in trade rumors all day Thursday. All day Wednesday, pardon me. He ends up with a triple-double. They win, so let's give him a bronze. Speaking of guys on teams involved in trades, Christian Wood. Is Christian Wood right now the best player on the Rockets? I think he is. He gave you 27 and 15, hit a key 3 late. For the Rockets, getting a win without James Harden, shout out to them. Get 1-0 now without the beard. And the gold medalist, 3-time medalist now, Nikola Jokic, the Joker, 23, 14, and 10 in a win. Nikola Jokic making an MVP push already this season. Brandon, those are my 3 medalists from last night. Yeah, well, not anymore.
And he looks in shape, man.
Sweat and gravy is what I used to say.
He looks good. Yeah, sweat and gravy. He looks good.
All right, Wilds, who just missed it? Tell someone who just missed it.
Oh, my guy, Bol got dunked on. I'm rooting for Bol for Rookie of the Year, but Wiseman. I'm also rooting for Wiseman. 18 points, 5 rebounds, good game for him. Still, not enough there for Denver. Draymond threw up the I'm number 1. He threw up the Joe Theismann, 1 point. But I don't know anything about basketball, I guess.
Listen,
you know,
Bull, you got
1.5 turnovers.
You gotta contest, buddy. You're 7'5". You gotta get up and contest.
Back to the NFL now for this weekend's quarterback battle of the ages. Like literally their ages, you know, because they're old. Brady and Brees, this is First Things First.
He was late.
Hey, First Things First listeners, it's Charlotte Wilder here to tell you about my new podcast with Mark Titus called the People's Sports Podcast. It comes out every Thursday, and Mark and I take one of the big stories of the week, and then we go off on tangents you never saw coming. This might mean that we start talking about the Dodgers winning the World Series and end up wondering if Knicks fans deserve happiness. Or begin with LeBron's greatness and end up drafting our ultimate beer league softball team made up of old athletes. Whatever it is, the only rule of the show is that it has to be fun and funny, because these days we can all use as many laughs as we can get. So check it out wherever you get your podcasts and come down weird sports rabbit holes with us. We can't wait to have you. Now, back to First Things First.
Tomorrow on Fox, the Rams take on the Packers at 2:30 Eastern. Then on Sunday, Tom Brady and the Bucs square off with Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. It's at 6. The NFL Divisional Playoffs presented by TurboTax live on Fox and the Fox Sports app. All right, let's play a little drawing a blank now. Happy 42nd birthday to Drew Brees for Drew's birthday. A matchup with one of the greatest quarterbacks, if not the greatest quarterback of all time in Tom Brady. But Brandon, the player you are most excited to watch this weekend is blank.
Oh, Jen, I got to go with players. I got to go with Jerry Hughes, Vernon Butler, Ed Oliver, Mario Addison. Who's that? That's the Buffalo Bills defensive line. They have their hands full. We just talked about it in the last block. They can't stop that boy without those 4 guys playing lights out this weekend. So I'm going with those 4 players.
Oh, I'm going with the guy that's going to make those 4 players' night miserable, or afternoon. And that's the greatest playoff quarterback of all time, Patrick Mahomes. Did you guys know Patrick Mahomes on a per-game basis leads every playoff quarterback in everything? Touchdown interception ratio, passer rating, win-loss record, everything. It's him. Did you guys know that he's never lost a playoff game in regulation? And every playoff game he's ever played in, his team has had the lead with 45 seconds left? That's all true. And the one game they lost, he led a 30-second final drive to force overtime. So, yeah, I'm most excited to watch the second greatest show in all of sports.
Easy. You could have done that.
Playoff Patrick Mahomes. That's what I'm most excited about.
You could have done that, Nick. It's easy.
I'll tell you who else is excited about Patrick Mahomes. Myles Garrett's my choice. Brandon, I know you said you weren't worried about it, but I'm slightly worried that Big Ben dropped back 68 times and Myles Garrett didn't record a sack. Remember, he was on fire, forcing turnovers, and then he went on the COVID list, came back, and he was like still recuperating. Hopefully he's 100% now. I think we need to hear a lot from him early on. The Browns have a chance here, which they do. But we need a lot of Myles Garrett.
Yeah, they didn't want him. They double teamed him. They didn't want him to blammo.
Okay.
On the other side of the ball, Baker and his Browns hoping to recreate the magic they pulled off in Pittsburgh. But Jenna, the Chiefs are the biggest favorites this weekend. Okay, so Brandon, the team that should be on upset alert then this weekend is blank.
The Saints. Saints fans, appreciate you guys not at me yesterday. But look, I know what I said. I said that the Saints will win the regular season. I said that the Saints will implode. I'm a little nervous because I feel like the Saints and Sean Payton may have gotten over the hump when Michael Thomas went down and Drew Brees went down. It forced them to get other guys involved. But with that being said, I don't care what's going on in your organization and how you got over the hump, because that man right there is a bad goat. That boy is on a mission. Tom Brady is playing lights out. He is playing the best football he's ever played. And I'm not just talking statistically. I'm actually talking about how he's spinning the ball. How he's moving in the pocket. All you got to do is turn on the film. I don't know what this TB12 method is, but I need to start joining because this boy is a bad man. Bad goat right there, Tom Brady.
All right, you don't need to join the TB12 method, Brandon. The House of Athlete method works even better. It's proven time and again. That's first of all. Second of all, my apologies. At the beginning of my previous answer, I said Mahomes was going to give the Bills' defensive line trouble. Obviously, I meant the Browns' defensive line. But I don't think there's going to be any major upset this weekend. I think the 4 better teams are going to win all 4 games. But point spread-wise, the Ravens are an underdog. So I guess the Bills are the team that should be on upset alert because they are the favorites over the Ravens. But I think the Ravens are a flatly better team than them. So for the reasons I just laid out in the previous segment, I like the Ravens in that game. So I think the Bills are the one favorite this weekend that loses Wilds.
What people will be saying on Monday about the Packers-Rams game. Wow, that looked a lot like the Packers-Bucks game when Aaron Rodgers played terribly, threw 2 interceptions, almost threw 4 interceptions. Devontae Adams was smothered, and they ended up looking really bad. Why is that? Because Aaron Donald, who had 2 sacks against Russell Wilson, the team had 5 sacks, and they had 10 quarterback hits, is going to hound these guys. The idea that Aaron Rodgers is going to sit back there and have a day against this Rams defense is just wrong. And I know Goff is not going to need to throw a ton of touchdowns. It's going to be a low-scoring game. Goff's going to do just enough, and Cam Akers going to score a few touchdowns. Rams over Packers. You heard it here first. Prognosticator.
Doubling down.
Everybody's name is Aaron. To Buffalo now, where Josh Allen can deliver the Bills their first AFC Championship appearance since 1993. Also, they can deliver us the gift of Nick getting covered in ketchup, which really, guys, is the gift that keeps on giving. But Brandon, the player with the most to prove this weekend is blank.
Tom Brady. Tom Brady spent, 20 years in New England with Bill Belichick, the greatest coach of all time, and maybe in all of sports. Phenomenal leader, gets the job done year in, year out, week in, week out. This dude is going to go down as the greatest coach. We know that. Tom Brady's going to go down as the greatest quarterback. We know that. Maybe the greatest football player to ever play. But Tom Brady, it's time for you to ascend. It's time for you to go to a whole nother level. And that level is going down as probably the greatest champion in all of sports. If you can go out and beat the Saints and then go to your 14th championship and then go to a Super Bowl and win it, he is going to be in the conversation next to Michael Jordan, Serena Williams, and so many other athletes that is considered the greatest champions to play sports. Tom Brady, ascend now, my GOAT.
Well, I'm sick of Brandon disrespecting Brady. He's obviously already passed Jordan. Everybody knows that. But the player with the most to prove this weekend is the player that no one believes in, Jared Goff. All analysis of Rams-Packers is a question of, can they overcome Jared Goff? And by the way, I do have some news on this, Wilds, and it's important to you because you're picking the Rams. Because people are worried about how's Goff going to play in the cold weather at Lambeau. It's supposed to be 25 degrees. My people on the ground in Los Angeles say they saw Jared Goff at a Baby Gap shopping for gloves. So I think he's going to be okay as far as his hands being warm. But I still don't think it'll be enough. And I think Jared Goff has the most to prove because everyone is doubting the Rams based purely on who their quarterback is, not on their defense or their coaching, both of which are obviously excellent. Wilds, I'm just reporting what I hear on the ground. It's not about niceness. It's about journalism.
You're not reporting. You're not on the ground, okay? Being on the ground means being at the location. You were in your apartment.
I have people on the ground.
Looking up, at basketball reference.
I don't have an apartment, and I have people on the ground. All of this is lies. Give your answer. You're just lying.
You don't have people on the ground. My answer is Sammy Watkins. You know it's worked out pretty poorly for everyone? People who talk trash about Baker Mayfield and the Browns. Sammy Watkins, the latest person up, said, hey, looks like we've got competition. Sammy Watkins like, not really. So if Sammy Watkins plays this weekend and the Browns win, he's going to get the Juju treatment here.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Claypool too.
Wow.
All of them.
Yeah, seriously, I was going to say Claypool, same thing. Hey, when should Aaron be worried about Aaron? When it's Aaron Rodgers versus Aaron Donald. So many miles off this whole first name thing. Rams and Packers. We're going to set it all up next. First things first.
Worry now. Worry now. Right now. Worry right now.
In honor of Martin Luther King Jr. Day, Kurt Menefee and Michael Strahan host an hour-long special highlighting the efforts of athletes creating change in their communities. Fox Sports Voices, Monday, 5 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Talk some playoff football now. We head to Green Bay. Rams and Packers. Rams naming Jared Goff the starter yesterday. Packers are going with Aaron Rodgers, 16-year stud out of Cal. Rodgers will have his hands full with Aaron Donald, who had some high praise for the Green Bay quarterback. Take a listen.
A great quarterback that's playing lights out this year, making some great throws, making some good decisions. Obviously, he can do things with his feet. Not the fastest guy, but he can move. He can get away from you, make things happen. So we got to do a great job as far as bottling him up, getting pressure on him. Not letting him have a clean pocket to the point where he can make all them great throws. So we got a challenge. But that's what you expect in the playoff game.
I love it. Not the fastest guy, but he can move. Guy that knows a thing or two about defense, 3-time Pro Bowl linebacker LeVar Arrington joining the conversation now. LeVar, good morning. Thanks for getting up and hanging with us. Do you expect this Rams defense to slow down Aaron Rodgers tomorrow?
I do. I believe that Aaron Rodgers is going to have to go out there and earn this game. Their secondary is known for being able to cover, and everybody talks about Jalen Ramsey, but on the other side, Phil Hill and others in company, they tackle very well. And it's interesting. 44 is the lowest number of tackles, and that's Jalen Ramsey. 44 tackles by a corner. You have a safety that is over 100 in combined tackles. Those are linebacker numbers, guys. So when you talk about why they may make Aaron Rodgers struggle and have to figure it out, is because they're going to tackle those slip screens, those tunnel shuttle missile screens. They're going to tackle those sweeps, those jet sweeps, the speed sweeps. They're going to be able to tackle on the edges, and it's going to turn it into more of a bottleneck type of game. And that's where this defensive front does so well, because the secondary has been able to make the football field so much more narrow and so much more manageable for them to have success up front.
Dang, I'm just going to just throw out my take now. I had no clue they tackled so well.
Oh my!
So now I just got to think of something on the fly. No, because here's the deal. I'll be honest, we're on national television live. Like what you just said, I had no clue. Look, the football in me, okay, wants to believe that the Rams can slow down Aaron Rodgers. And they really can, because that defense is phenomenal. Wild's been talking about them for the past 6 weeks or so. They're really, really good. And we know that a lot of times defense wins championships in the NFL. But it's Aaron Rodgers, man. You know who Aaron Rodgers reminds me of? Steph Curry. Steph Curry, is just so smooth. No. I'm talking about Aaron Rodgers. No, Aaron Rodgers, the basketball comparison. Oh, I see where you're going with that. It's because they're so smooth and they can create their own offense. And Aaron Rodgers, like you said, this is going to be a bottleneck game. He's going to have to be patient. He can't go out there and create, because if he do that, he's going to make mistakes. He can throw a pick. He can fumble, because that defensive line, they're getting after it. Okay, and it starts with 99. So the reason why I said I had to think of a new take on the fly is because that's the game. That's the type of game it's going to be. You're going to see him light up the flat with the little, cover two guys blocking number 3, the tight end, or wide receiver motioning over, going to the flat. You're going to see quick game. You're going to see screen. And if these guys tackle well, continue to tackle well, it's going to be really ugly for the Packers. But that's the game it's going to be, man, because he's not going to have a lot of time. He's going to have to get that ball out fast, and he have to be patient and can't go out there and try to create, because he's a guy that can go out there and create offense just like that.
Yeah.
LeVar, here's why I feel so confident in the Rams, and you tell me if you see it the same way. Before Packers-Bucks, we were hearing all the same stuff. All 2 great quarterbacks going after it. Let's see what's going to happen. Aaron Rodgers is going to prove that he's better than Brady. And he got shut down. He got pressured. He threw 2 picks. He threw 2 other balls that bounced off the Bucks. They were swarming Devontae Adams, and he wasn't able to get loose. I assume that that's going to be the Rams' game plan. And when you look at parallels to what Aaron Rodgers can do, well, they just bottled up Russ. Russ got hit 10 times. He got sacked 5 times. He had less than 175 yards. When DK Metcalf was guarded by Jalen Ramsey, he had 33 yards. So to me, it seems like those are two sort of parallel games. When I look at it, I said, all right, well, the Rams are going to play just the same as they always play. And we've seen Aaron Rodgers struggle against a strong pass rush that the Bucs gave him. So that's why I'm feeling wildly confident. Do you think that those are fair comparisons?
I would say no, because the playoffs is a different level of competition. So you can't look at things from regular season early on in the season and believe that you're going to see the same results. Big players come to big moments, and Aaron Rodgers has proven time in and time again he's a big player that comes to big moments. So I wouldn't necessarily rest my hat on that. But what I will say is not having Bakhtiari on your offensive front, who is a perennial Pro Bowler, one of the best in the game, that's a big miss and a big loss for them. Aaron Donald, he looked like he was fine in his interview. I'm not sure how healthy his ribs are, but what I do know is healthy ribs, not healthy ribs, spare ribs, baby back ribs. It's going to be 3 or 4 people that have to block him. All right, and so in the end, you're gonna see guys like Brockers and you're going to see the linebackers. You're going to see an active group taking advantage of the fact that they are a little shorthanded on the offensive front. And like you said, the one point that you made that is very important, and you heard Aaron Donald mention it, he's not that fast, but he's deceptive. He can escape the pocket. He can buy himself time, and that's when a lot of those big plays happen for Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay. It's going to be interesting to see if they're going to stunt and try to force him to move, thinking that if we get him to move, we're going to loop out and be out there waiting for him. Whoever figures that out in the game will be the team that has the inside track to have the most success against one another on those two units.
So I think the Packers are going to win. I think the Rams defense is going to have a lot of success, but not enough success to overcome what I expect to be a very limited Rams offense. However, Wilds, the point that I'm surprised no one has made, and it's the point that should make Rams fans or Rams backers the most optimistic, is how did the Packers get bounced from the playoffs last year?
A physical team.
They got blown out in a game.
49ers.
They got but the Niners in a game where the Niners quarterback threw the ball 8 times. The Niners didn't need great quarterback play that game. Jimmy G completed 6 passes in that game. So how did the Packers lose? They got the ball run down their throat by the Niners rushing attack, and the Niners front, which now is, the architect of that is now one of the newest head coaches. They got after Aaron Rodgers the entire game, and he wasn't able to do anything. That's the concern for the Packers. A Packers team that, by the way, my biggest criticism of them all year is they are the same team as last year. No major free agent acquisitions. They're getting nothing out of their draft picks. So the question is, can the Rams duplicate what the Niners did? And they blew the Packers out in that game. Now, I don't think they can, but LeVar, we saw it happen a year ago. Just, 358 days ago, whenever it was, when the Niners played the Packers, and they said, it doesn't matter who our quarterback is. We are a quarterback-independent team. That's the Rams' game plan this week.
The only problem with that point, which is a very valid point, but the only problem you run into is that they were able to directly answer that question a few weeks ago against Tennessee. Tennessee was one of the hottest teams coming into the game. And in fact, if I can recall doing my analysis of the game, I thought the same exact thing was going to happen to Green Bay, and they were going to be exposed for being a team that can't handle a physical team that's going to beat you up for 4 quarters. And look at what they did. They carved them boys up, and they carved them up good. It could be the way. It could be the moment that derailed the Titans season. Like, they made it into the playoffs, but they weren't moving with the same type of confidence that they were before they took that loss to Green Bay. So I would say, even though they may not look like a different team, they answered the question of will they be able to handle a physically enabled team? And the answer would be yes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just go back to my first point, because just hearing you and Nick talk through that, it just reminds me of those situations where you're in those big moments as a player and you ascend to something better, right? So when you think about Aaron Rodgers, just his mindset, and we don't talk about this enough, you got to believe he's sitting back thinking like, this could be my last opportunity to get this far. This could be my last opportunity to have this type of team. So everything you guys are talking about, 100%, Nick, from an X's and O's standpoint, matchup standpoint, this is going to be tough for the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers in that offense. The Rams defense is for real because of that front seven, and you also have a guy that can literally lock down one side of the field. But Aaron Rodgers, man, we're talking about this dude being the second, third greatest quarterback ever.
Yep.
Right. So that mindset, he's in that locker room. He's spending a little bit of extra time studying film, trying to dial up different things, getting his guys prepared because he understands this moment. So it's going to be an interesting game to watch.
Is there a guy that gets less respect than Jared Goff right now? Thumb or no thumb? Take a turn. Talk about the veteranist of veteran quarterbacks battling it out this weekend. That's the word. Brady versus Brees versus bragging rights in the NFC South. We got Bucs and Saints. It's next. First things first.
The answer is Garoppolo.
Bucs and Saints now. Among the storylines, two quarterbacks who know a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two. Tom Brady and Drew Brees, combined age 306. While Brady is the winningest quarterback ever, Brees actually has the edge in their head-to-head matchup, sporting a 5-2 record in those games. Here's Drew Brees, head of the matchup.
Tom and I have a friendship and a mutual respect. And, we were texting back and forth on Monday, just kind of chuckling at this, this whole scenario, right? Listen, he's 43. I turned 42 on Friday, so that's 85 years and a lot of football experience that's going to be on the field on Sunday. Listen, when Tom Brady signed with the Bucs, and I knew that he was coming to our division, I envisioned this game. So what was that? 9 months ago, 8 months ago, I envisioned this game happening because I knew our aspirations as a team to be in the playoffs and beyond. And I certainly knew what he was bringing to the Bucs and that talented roster. And so I think this is probably where we all envision being at this point in the season.
It's like me and Oprah texting ahead of an interview we both do. Hey, LeVar, you faced both these quarterbacks in your college and pro career. Who's going to win Sunday, Bucs or Saints?
I think the Bucs are going to have too much for the Saints. I did play against both these guys, and I'm sitting here with a stiff Achilles tendon, a sore back, and eyeballs and ears, trying to figure out what's going on with my life physically. And these dudes are still playing in the National Football League at what they said 42 and 43. So that's pretty interesting. I was joking. I feel a lot better than what I said. But I think the Bucs are going to be the team that right. I think that the Bucs are going to be the team that is able to snap the 2-game winning streak. This last go around with them, it was so impressive and so decisive that I almost feel as though the scary part about that game between New Orleans and Tampa Bay was that New Orleans showed so much of what they do to have success against Tampa, the familiarity process of it, what that looks like and their comfort in being able to play against this Tampa Bay Bucs team. But Tom Brady is a different animal. And like I said earlier, this is the playoffs and it changes things. And Tom Brady doesn't have that fear of New Orleans. And Tom Brady isn't used to bowing down to New Orleans, even though he's lost to them the first 2 times. I mean, you think about it. First game of the year, man, throw that out the door. And then the second time around, it's just one of those games. Maybe it's a letdown game. I don't know. But I think Tampa Bay has too much clicking right now, too much explosiveness on offense, and we don't talk enough about how amazing their defense is playing right now. It's one of the best defenses. We'll talk about how good New Orleans is on defense, but we don't really highlight how much this Tampa Bay defense brings to the table. I think they're a complete team, maybe the most complete team in the NFC side of the playoff division.
Wow. All right, so LeVar said a lot there, and I understand all of it. And the only thing LeVar said that I disagree with is that second matchup between the two teams was the most important game of the season for both teams because both teams knew that the division was going to come down to that game, and the Saints annihilated them. But this is a very interesting game for this show, because Brandon and I both have not game predictions, but multi-month, in my case, multi-year predictions that are coming to a head. Brandon, for 9 months, has been dealing with whatever the Saints version of Bills Mafia is, Saints fans crushing him for what I think is a very smart take about why they fall apart in the playoffs. I have the entire New England Mafia that has now become the Tampa. They've retired to Florida. The Tampa Mafia killing me for what I've said about Brady all year, and now they're playing each other. The reason I feel good about being on the Saints side of it is twofold. One is about New Orleans and one is about Brady. About New Orleans is this. They lost to the Packers and fell to 1-2. Since then, they are 12-2. And those two losses, one was with Taysom Hill as their quarterback, throw it out, and the other was to the defending Super Bowl champs, the Kansas City Chiefs, throw that one out as well. So they have, listen, you're not going to beat the Chiefs, obviously, and Taysom's not a real quarterback, obviously. So under normal circumstances, they haven't lost since September. The other issue, Brandon, is this. I have to give Brady credit. He's been exceptional this year. Except for against New Orleans. Show the numbers. Can we just put it side by side if we could real quick? Those two games against New Orleans, I mean, that's 25% of his total sacks for the year. That's 40% of his total interceptions for the year. His passer rating is nearly halved. Like, it's somewhat remarkable how great the Saints were against Tom, and equally remarkable how, statistically speaking, Brandon, how great he was against everybody else. That would really concern me if I were a Bucs fan this weekend, because, Brandon, I don't know why that's going to change this weekend.
I thought you threw the dossier away. How you throw the dossier away and then come back to it? Come on, man. Like, come on.
This is specific for the Saints. This is a specific thin dossier about Brady versus the Saints.
Look, I'm just going to ignore this Tom Brady talk because I've already said it the last week or two that this dude is on a mission. He looks awesome in the pocket, the way he's throwing the ball, and obviously the numbers don't lie. Look at the statistics. But I want to go back to what Drew Brees said in his interview. He talked about he envisioned this matchup 9 months ago. And I truly believe Drew Brees, because I saw this guy after practice for 30 minutes rock back and forth, staring in the mirror. And I had no clue what he was doing. I went to the strength and conditioning coach. I said, Coach, what is this guy doing? He said, Brandon, all those 200-300 plays that you guys just went through on the field, he's now going through those plays again in every situation. This is a guy that's locked in all the time. And I also think, this is a different Drew Brees going into the playoffs because he had to get over the hump when Michael Thomas went down. He had to figure out a way to throw to Emmanuel Sanders and get other guys involved, his tight end Cook. So this is a guy that's going into the playoffs with the thing that was holding him back fixed. He's distributing the ball. It's no longer, hey, 50% of our offense is going to go through Alvin Kamara and Michael Thomas. This team is scary, but I gotta go with Tampa Bay. I gotta go with Tom Brady because of everything that you said. You talked about this being a complete team. Defensively, we don't talk about them enough. And that game is going to come down to Todd Bowles against Sean Payton. Todd Bowles' defense is his defense. Todd Bowles put all the control in his players. This is our defense. Now you guys make the checks. So when you turn on the tape, when you turn on the TV this weekend, what you're going to see is all those guys in the secondaries checking palms, go here, go there, because they have to adjust depending on formation and what these guys do pre-snap. Post-snap, they're still communicating. They still understand what they're supposed to do. But then on the other side, you have Sean Payton. I used to walk in Sean Payton's office 10 o'clock at night, the lights was low, candles lit, and he'd be like, Brandon, look at this defensive coordinator we going against. This is him in 1999. Sean Payton goes back and studied these defensive coordinators back when they were in college and different things. I promise you. Listen, I'll call Coach Sean Payton right now, and he will validate it. I promise you. 100%, Nick. You go in there, he's there till 10, 11. Sometimes he sleeps in his office. You go in there, lights is dim, candles lit, and he's studying film from 1999, 1980, talking about, look at what this defensive coordinator did. So I say all that because this matchup between Sean Payton and Todd Bowles is going to be the X factor.
Hey, it sounds like the What About Bob game, and they all need to see Richard Dreyfuss for a little bit of help to me, man. Was he washing his hands while he was in the mirror? Was he washing his hands while he was going through those plays in the mirror? Was he telling himself it's safe to go outside while he was in the mirror? Man?
Great reference.
It is a great
reference.
Katana, can we put up Nick's graphic again, please? Because he's a master at deceptive graphics. Okay.
Oh. What?
One of these games against the Saints was week 1. Was Antonio Brown on the team week 1? No. Do you think Gronk was at 100% week 1? He was just getting into shape? No. Do you think all the chemistry was worked out? I think comparing week 1 Tom Brady to the last few weeks Tom Brady, who's been lighting teams up, lit Washington up, lit the Falcons up, and lit the Lions up. So the fact that you're putting A/B less numbers up here, I think is not slightly deceptive.
But it's also versus the rest. Can I respond
to that? Hold on. Sorry, LeVar, hold on a second. Can I respond to that? LeVar's on my because I can take a lot of I can take a lot of abuse on this show. But what I won't stand for is Wild's implying to the audience I'm statistically misleading them. Put that graphic up again, please. Because I just want to say put the graphic up again, please. Here's what it says. I'm going to read you every word on the screen. Tom Brady, 2020 season includes playoffs versus Saints versus the rest. That's all the graphic says. Now, it is up to the audience. Okay. I would imagine if they're watching this show, they know they played in week 1. Additionally, you know what it also doesn't say? The Saints, Michael Thomas was banged up when they played a second time around. There's a lot of facts that aren't on there. What phase of the moon we were in, what time of day the game was. By the way, this is another night game, not good for Brady. But I'm just like this idea. That is not a misleading graphic. That is 1,000% accurate. And Wiles, I demand you retract that statement. It's not misleading.
It's totally misleading because you're taking all of the numbers from the rest of the team. Well, you're taking all of the numbers from the rest of. Can you throw that graphic back up onto the? Look at this graphic, okay? You're including when you say versus the rest. How many other teams is that?
Yeah.
Right? How many other games is that? So it's 13. A misleading stat. 13. It's a misleading statistic because when you say versus the rest, that is a heck of an average to have versus a whole bunch of other teams. And for you to take, I'm sure you could find a stat line and versus the rest that's probably mirroring the versus the Saints statistical category.
You're right, against other playoff teams. That's correct. That's correct. But I threw that out with the dossier. I threw it out with the dossier.
In the AFC, a quarterback matchup that has the guys split here on First Things First, Lamar and Josh Allen, Bills and Ravens, Einhorn, Finkel. Put that graphic up one more time. I just want to, there's something I noticed. We're back after this. In honor of Martin Luther King Jr. Day, Kurt Menefee and Michael Strahan host an hour-long special that highlights the efforts of athletes creating change in their communities. Fox Sports Voices, Monday, 5 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Time now for stories to start your morning, sponsored by Ram Trucks, built to serve. We're talking Chiefs, we're talking Brown. You remember the Chiefs? We haven't seen them in a while, and while the betting world is all in on Kansas City, Odell Beckham Jr. is not. He's among those that think the Browns can actually pull this out. He said, don't be surprised this weekend when they win. Just throwing it out there. Last I checked, Odell was still on the team. It would be us. We win. With that, it's time for Brandon's Key to the Game. Brandon, what are your keys to the Browns upsetting the Chiefs come Sunday?
Omaha. Jets have a new coach. They also have so much to give. We're going to be back on track. But anyway, let's get into this game. All right, number one, Chubb and Hunt have to combine for 200 yards. What you do best need to be better when you're the underdog and you're going against the best team in the NFL. So these boys have to be lights out. And if we can get a little extra from Baker and some other guys, please, let's do it. They got to get going on the run game. And what that also does, it keeps that monster in Mahomes on the sideline, because that boy, he's on a mission as well. Number two, Baker, 0 turnovers. Well, Brandon, the last 349 attempts, he's only thrown 1 interception. And that 1 interception, yeah, you and Wright almost got the blows over it. But it's important that he continues this streak. Why? Because sometimes players like Mayfield, when they know they're the underdog, they try to will their team to victory. This is not the moment, man. You've had a phenomenal year. Just go out there, be patient, play your game, protect the ball, and let's see where you guys are standing come the fourth quarter. So Baker Mayfield, continue to protect the ball, man. And then the last thing is you got to put pressure on Mahomes without blitzing. Well, what does that mean? That's the key to success. When you look at all the teams that had success against Mahomes, that's what they've done. You got to be able to, with those front four, starting with Myles Garrett, get to this guy. Because if you let him sit in the pocket, he's like a magician. There's going to be balls just going all over the place and people just catching balls, and it's going to be really ugly. Big Ben threw for 500 yards. Yeah. Hell, this kid can throw for 800. So if you do those three things, you have a chance to win. And Nick, I want to say this, man. We know where you're from. We know who your team is, okay? But you've also been standing on the table and pounding the pavement all year for the Cleveland Browns. This is not the time to give up on your boys, man.
Oh, well, I wouldn't be giving up on them because here's the thing.
Do it.
All year long, you're right. You are correct, and I'm glad you're reminding the audience of it, that all year long I was right about the Browns and all of my colleagues were wrong. That is correct. That is 100% right, and it should be written in stone somewhere. However, despite my rightness on them, I refuse to call them a Super Bowl contender because we knew they would have to play the Chiefs, and they can't beat the Chiefs. And my buddy Kevin Wildes, I feel like our relationship is fracturing slightly because over this week, there's been many a stat I've given you that Wildes has simply said doesn't count, don't like it, it means nothing to me. And I think the other day I said, I talked about the Chiefs come from behind wins, and he's like, oh, that's good, so you're trailing a lot. Oh, hang your hat on that. So I'm going to give you the inverse of that. How about dominating the entire game wins? Can we show the Chiefs against the 4 playoff teams they faced this year? Let's give you some context for what domination these games were. This is the last time any of these teams had the ball with a chance to tie or take the lead. For the Ravens, it never happened after halftime. For the Bills, it never happened after the start of the third quarter. For the Bucks, it never happened after the midway point of the first quarter. And that Saints game that Wildes keeps lying to America and saying the Saints almost won, it never happened after the midway mark of the third quarter, pardon me. So I say all that to say this, Wildes. This is not going to be a good game. Guess who knows it? Vegas. That's why they have the Chiefs as the same favorites the Saints were over Mitch Trubisky. You know who also knows it? The networks. People are like, oh, why aren't the Chiefs, Baker, and Mahomes on prime time? Why are they on in the early Sunday slot? Because they know it's going to be a blowout. You know who also knows it deep down?
Oh, my goodness.
The Browns.
No, it's
They
not.
had their Super Bowl last week. They already moved forward. Like, they're turning the page into next season, whether they want to admit it or not. They have come here. They've accomplished what they needed to do. So there is no intrigue to this game. There could be intrigue to the AFC Championship game. It's just how it's going to go. And Wilds, I think deep down, you know it's how it's going to go. That this Browns defense cannot slow down the Chiefs' attack at all.
I agree with that. I agree with most of it.
No.
Do I think the Browns, stand by, do I think the Browns can win a normal football game? No. Just a normal game that plays out, just, a week 12 game? No, I don't think they can win. Do I think it's going to be a normal football game? No, I don't. I think it's been 20 days between snaps for Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes, and I think weird things are going to happen. That's what happened to the Steelers. Next thing you know, Pouncey, bingo, ball's in the end zone, touchdown, early Browns lead. Something weird is going to happen, and you're going to be like, we shouldn't have rested week 17 and the bye. Nick, admit it, you were nervous about that. Here's the other thing that might happen, if it's not so sort of like carnival-esque. Penalties. It's just like I'm a little rusty, little penalty. You guys were penalized for the most yards against the Raiders team that you ended up losing. Next thing you know, John Gruden's driving the bus around Arrowhead. So I think those are two ways, a little bit of rust and a few penalties that the layoff will hurt you. And I think that if you take advantage of those opportunities, and Patrick Mahomes also throws one to the other team like A.J. Terrell, when he just dropped in the end zone, should have lost the Falcons game, also just lost the Chargers game recently. No one cares about that, except you got to take down all the full screens they had up about being 23-1. I think there's a chance. That's all I'm saying.
Listen, I do think Wilds brings up an important point about that Raiders game. And it's an important point because it's the only game Patrick Mahomes has lost in 450 days. So, of course, that's the game to go to because the guy's undefeated, including a Super Bowl since then.
So, right into his hands. Wow.
On the Raider game from October because it's the only time any of us can remember. People have had two sets of children since Patrick Mahomes lost a second time. So, go ahead. That's fine. It's a good take. It's a good take.
Really quickly, Wilds, I do think, they do. Of course, when it's not a regular game and it gets a little funky, every team has a chance. But I still believe they have a chance if it's just a ordinary regular game because of that offense.
Wow, okay.
Let me give you guys paint a picture for you really quickly. Kevin Stefanski, it's a mixture between Kyle Shanahan's offense and Gary Kubiak. These two guys, they're known for controlling the ball. And we've seen the Cleveland Browns do it all year.
All right, before we go, got to show you this. A lot on the line for you tomorrow, Nick. If the Bills beat the Ravens, this is you, buddy.
It's happening.
Take it all in, scale of 1 to 10. How nervous are you?
All right, Brandon, people weren't watching earlier. Quickly, Brandon, what's the offer you made earlier to help me out here? What is it?
Yeah. So I'm paid for you to get out of this bet, buddy. I'm sending a check, blank check, whatever you need. You can't do this. Don't do it.
So Brandon has offered a blank check to buy me out of this bet. I accept the check to bet more on the Ravens because the Ravens are going to beat the Bills. See you, Josh Allen. I'll see you later. Bye.
Undisputed starts now. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday.